Hey Trish, how's it going?
Good, honey. How are you? You look
I'm great.
fantastic.
Oh, thank you. So do you.
I mean, we're lit like the Lord. We're about to do exciting things. We get
Yeah.
to have a friend of ours on the show today.
I know. I'm so excited because you're so close to him, but I have just gotten to know him over the last few years, and he's terrific.
He's a good human. Y'all, welcome to What I Know So Far. I know Karen and I just jumped right in because we just got finished recording, and so we're taping this open for you right now because we had a ball talking to my first. I call him my day one friend because Josh Wolf, the comedian, the writer, the producer, he's all the things. A dear friend. He's one of my very best friends. We met. I'd lived in Los Angeles, I think, for 2 weeks when I met Josh, and it's very rare in anything in life that you have a friend that you have that long. So we talked about everything from parenting to comedy to his what's the word, Karen? Unexpected life advice.
Yes, unexpected wisdom.
Yeah, unexpected wisdom. And
Well,
so
he's so fun, and he's just such a light, and he
yeah.
has such a huge, big laugh. I mean, he just really fills the room, and then for him to come out with some really wise words, I was impressed.
Yeah, he's unapologetically Josh Wolf. And I think that that's what is so nice and refreshing in this day and age is to really be comfortable in your own skin. And that's probably another reason why we've been best friends for ever and ever and ever. So he was a doll to come on. And we want to keep bringing you great episodes like this. So rate, subscribe, review, listen, wherever you find podcasts. It means a whole lot to Kay and I. And please enjoy this great episode with the wonderfully talented Josh Wolf.
You gotta be just who you are. You gotta be just who you are. Don't let them sway you. No one can change you. You gotta be just who you are.
Josh Wolf.
Hello.
Hi, darling.
How are you?
Oh, we're living through this dumpster fire of this life right now. How are you?
Listen, blonde Trish.
I know. I've got fresh highlights. Thank you for noticing. Josh has known me. Y'all, Josh Wolf and I have been friends so long that Josh remembers me with dark hair. That's how long we've been friends.
Oh yeah, you talking about dark hair, leather pant, Trish Suhr?
That's the one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one.
One fresh out of the crater of
Fresh out of the crater when she escaped from Middlesboro, Kentucky, honey.
Yeah, dark hair, leather pant, Trish Suhr. You don't think I remember her? I remember
That's
her.
the one.
Yeah.
He does. Josh Wolf is my day one friend in Los Angeles, which was almost, even though you can't tell by looking at us, almost 30 years ago.
wow.
I know. Be quiet.
That's because Jacob's 28.
Yep, you're with me.
So that's legit, like almost, it's 27-ish years ago.
Exactly. I met you when Jake was like 6 months old, I want to say.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Uh-huh.
I should really get some new jokes.
That makes two of us, darling. That makes two of us.
I really ought to start writing a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I'm just
Lord.
saying, we all need to dust it off. If we're
that-
like,
that-
wait a second.
That's a wake up call for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how much hard time. And I'll tell you another great story about Josh. We'd met at this open mic where I was wearing those exact leather pants he just discussed.
In Hollywood at that Italian restaurant.
What was, I was about to say Michelli's, but it wasn't. It was like that Bordner's.
What? I think it was. Because it was on Cherokee.
Yeah, it was, y'all, when I tell you it was a bad open mic, like outside in their courtyard, it was a time to be alive. And so we meet there and then cut to, I want to say it's like a couple weeks later, he and I both have an audition. This is going to date us terribly, but here's who we are. I mean, not that almost 30 years didn't. We both had an audition for Home Improvement, different roles, obviously.
That's
Clearly.
right.
And it was a weird holiday or like a in-service. I forgot what it was. It was like a weird, you know what I mean? Like some kind of holiday. And Josh rolls up to this audition. I'm walking out of the audition and he's walking into the casting office and he has all three of his little babies and so little that Jacob, who's 27, he's 28. Jake turned 20. Oh my gosh. Okay. Jake was 6 months old in a stroller. So Caitlin and Trevor were, I don't know what, 3 and 5,
Something like
maybe?
that. 3, 5,
Okay.
4, 6, one or the other.
So he's walking into this audition with these 3 kids like little monkeys on him. And I'm walking out and I'm like, whoa, you really do have these 3 kids. He goes, yeah. Like, did you think that was
I
like,
made that up?
yeah. And it didn't really dawn on me. And I said, well, who's going to watch them? He goes, they'll be fine. He was going to just leave them in the lobby because he had no choice to be a good daddy to take care of these kids.
What happened is I wouldn't leave them in the lobby, but they would sit with the casting directors, and they had really figured out when to laugh. So when I was rehearsing with them in front of them, so they knew the funny lines. So casting directors just stare at you. So at least I was getting a reaction from someone. The 3 kids were like, ah! By the way, I booked that.
I know you did.
Can I tell you also?
That was my real first impression of like Dad Josh Wolf. And I was like,
I was
please
young
take these kids
too.
to the commissary. Do you remember? I took them to the commissary afterwards.
I was like
Got 'em
20.
all.
I was 27.
You were 27. I was, 21, 22,
Yeah,
22.
yeah.
And so, Karen, I was really thinking, how's this man going to take care of these little children? Like, I was so stressed that I officially decided I was going to be their Aunt Trish, because then I find out, of course, Josh has a sea of brothers. And I was like, y'all need an aunt. Like, this is a mess.
I will tell you, that same feeling you had. I had that same feeling every day when I woke up. Like, how am I going to take care of these 3 kids?
Well, you did awesome, because they're great kids.
I remember so the casting woman was a woman named Sherry Thomas, who's gone
I
on.
love Sherry Thomas, who now is one of the biggest casting directors.
So Sherry was the casting, she was the casting assistant for Deb. I forget Deb's last name at the time.
Me too. Sorry, Deb Aquila. I don't remember.
I don't remember. But we found out in that time that Sherry and I graduated high school same year from rival high schools, a town right next to each other.
How did I not know that?
So she grew up in Northampton, Mass, and I grew up in Amherst, Mass, and we talked that whole time. And I remember, this is how good of a person she is.
Sherry Thomas, by the way, is an amazing human being.
Amazing.
Like,
So
huge. Okay.
And she was just a casting assistant at the time. But I told her my whole situation. We were talking, and she was like, whose kids? I'm like, these are obviously my kids. We went down the whole rabbit hole about how I got there and all that stuff. And she knew what. So when I showed up there, she knew that money was tight for me. I had 1 pair of shoes, everybody. I wore 1 pair of shoes. And she made the wardrobe people give me my wardrobe. So not only did I get my day check, but she was like, you got a new pair of shoes, and you got a new pair of pants, and you got a new shirt. I'm like, that's amazing. But she made the wardrobe was like, hey, we've been told that you people don't get to keep their shoes, but you can keep your shoes.
I love her even more. That brings me such great joy
Yeah.
that Sherry. I mean, she's already that person. So now when you watch one of my favorite shows, I believe she cast Righteous Gemstones, which I don't know why I shouldn't have called her and said, Sherry, please put me on this. I don't care if I play a housekeeper.
Yeah.
And now the series is over. I should have made that phone call. But it's Sharon Bialy and Sherry Thomas. So
Yeah, but she cast Walking Dead too.
Yeah, Walking Dead. Like, I'm giving you just a
Yeah.
boop. When you think of a show that you love, that's Sherry. Like,
Yeah.
she's a bad man pajama and a sweet human being.
Great
Obviously.
person. But yeah, it's so funny because, I've known Sherry, since then. We would go and have, she would come over to parties at the house, but every now and then I'll send her a picture from a party at the house, and she's like, dear Lord, don't post these.
Don't you feel so lucky that we lived at a time that we have, like, you and I did a lot of life together. I think I have 5 photos of us, Josh, in 30 years.
This is what I say all the time about kids. Kids growing up now think they're the star of the movie. Yo, I was looking, my parents they had a, what's that called? The
Photo album.
Thank you. We would be great at $25,000 pyramid, Trish.
Yes, we would.
You know
Things in the
exactly.
kitchen.
Yeah.
Photo album.
Nailed that. Woo! That was a quick one, too. And I just went
Thank
like
you.
this.
I know.
Amazing.
Again, we have shorthand.
Nailed
Keep
it.
it pushing.
Yeah, right.
But my parents gave me mine, and I was looking through it, and it was so baby through 18. And there were maybe 15 pages. And one picture of one birthday party from when I was 8. One now.
But you're one of 4 boys, so please to give. Not that your parents didn't love you and show up, but you're one of 4. They were doing all they could to just,
But different time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right now, you get 30 pictures of your 12-year-old eating breakfast every morning.
Yes. Oh, it's so true. It's so true.
But my parents, like, one picture from my 8-year-old party, and I'm not even in it. And I was like, why is this in my album? My mom was like, this is from your party. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not in it. She's like, yeah, but it's from the party. I was like,
I just wanted to give
who was there.
Yeah.
yeah, but so crazy because it was film, and if you didn't have a lot of money, the process of buying film and developing it was an extra cost that most people just were not into.
100%.
Yeah.
And you have to realize too, times like how many kids in your family. Like I was the oldest. It was me and my brother. We were the first grandkids, first niece and nephew. So we got a little more archival just simply because we were 1 and 2 out of the gate for everybody. But then as everybody else kind of came along, like you just said, it was like a minimal highlight reel. Like you got all my cousins, if they're in the background of a shot, that was their photo. They're extras at their own birthday, graduation. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And these kids now are like, I need my own shoot. I'm going to do a reels of it. And then I'm like, what's going on? I don't understand what's going on.
Well,
I still have throwaway cameras from 20 years ago that have never been developed.
oh,
Karen developed those.
I know. I really need to.
But you know what? Kids now love that because I'll say, Jace, when they were doing shows, my husband is in a band, y'all, if you live in Iraq, and they did, throwback, whatever, their concerts, and they're sweet and fun. And how many fans brought me Fuji, the disposable cameras, to like take pictures right now. And I was like, what? This isn't nostalgic for me. This is an actual pain in the ass for me. Like, y'all think this is neat. I want to see. I don't want to get I lived in the era of getting a double exposed photo. Nah.
Well, wait.
Yeah.
Not just that. You took 24 pictures. 6 of them you could use.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
If the lighting's bad right now and take it again, or the angle or whatever.
Somebody's eye was like this.
Yeah.
Like, there's no. Yeah.
And I love how the kids now, the darling kids, and I'm saying the kids now, think that that's nostalgic and sweet. Like my sweet step babies, Gen Z, love them. But they're like, we got you these. And I'm like, I love that you thought of me.
Yeah.
What a waste of money. I don't want to develop these.
Not at all.
Nah, I'm not doing it. Which, by the way, Josh Wolf is also the one got me drinking glass bottle everything to avoid microplastics. He was the first person to tell me.
You're welcome.
That's what I love about Josh is you look at Josh and you think, he's eating stuff at a Stuckey's truck stop, loves a rolling hot dog. Nah. You at first glance, Josh, you do not expect you to be the health nut at first glance. Then if you remotely peel that onion back, you realize he's over there like Benjamin Mother Trucking Buttons. I'm sure if I really pushed, you might be on HGH because he's got the genetics. I don't get it.
Yeah,
and
you've seen my dad though. My dad is, he's 87. He does 18 holes 3 days a week. He's been shooting his age since he was 80. He was, over 40, over 50, over 60 tennis and squash champions. Like my dad genetically is just like, and so I learned early on, if I just am not stupid and I just kind of maintain the way I'm a little more psychotic than him, but I'm just going to be able to be happy and healthy going through this. I don't want that. I don't eat anything that makes me feel bad. If something I know is going to give me a food coma, it doesn't come anymore. It doesn't come close to my mouth. I balance out that 5 minutes of feeling, oh, that tastes good, to the next 24 hours, and it's not even a comparison for me anymore.
So is it even a challenge, or is it just you don't even think about it? It's just out of the question.
I'm a bit psycho when I bite into something. So if this wasn't going to be the addiction, something worse was going to be. So I picked this one.
Yeah, your obsessiveness is his health. Your obsession
And
is
that's
your
great.
health.
That's a good one to focus on.
Was there a thing though, Josh? Was there a thing? Because I know you used to. The script has been flipped. Was there a thing for you that you went, nah, I'm going to invest in my health because this is garbage sauce? Like, was there a specific thing?
Yeah, the kids.
But
I
you
was-
were eating junky when you had kids.
Yes, I never ate.
You never ate really bad. Yeah, that's true. You once in a while on the road have been like in a pile of Cheez-Its sideways.
Yes, but that has more to do with the weed
Availability.
But so I would, when I was younger, every now and then. But I've never been.
No, you haven't. That is true.
I've never.
What's been the biggest vice though for you? Like if the back in the day vice and then a current vice.
Always baked goods.
It's like sweets,
Not candy. Baked goods.
like
Same.
like
Pie.
a muffin. Okay,
Pie, muffin,
Yeah, I
cookies,
don't want a nerd.
cake.
I don't
Yeah.
want a sweetheart. I want
Nah.
yeah, I'm saying.
A chocolate chip cookie. And here's the thing, like, people say just have one. Well, that's not in my world. It's none or all of them.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
best to leave it alone. Yeah.
So I'm okay if we're all in for all of them. That's why I don't drink either. Because if someone was like, "Do you want to have a glass of wine?" I'm like, "What's that gonna do to me?"
let's have the bottle.
Yeah. Either we're finishing that, or let's have some water. It tastes better, So I mean, that's kind of been like, I'm gonna go to the gym today, and I just can't. When I think of the alternative of not going, I would beat myself up to oblivion.
I need to get to there. I
not
used to be
going.
there. You remember how much I was like
Yeah.
that. I've pendulum swing. I think that's perimenopause. You're welcome. Josh goes through it with his
it is.
wife.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Because you all know, Josh knows. I've been very similar. That's why we get along so well. Is when we lucky enough to be on the road together. If I went down to the gym before Josh, which was usually the case, he would text me and be like, "Did you turn the heat up in there? Because I like a hot workout." And he would let me go first so I could warm the gym up. And I was like, "Thanks, bro." So you look back because there's certain people you can travel with, and that for me was very easy because you and I very similar. It wasn't like, let's go out and party and eat a bunch of chili cheese fries. We were like,
Yeah.
let's get to bed and have egg white omelets after radio. Like, what?
Yeah. Now, I don't want anyone to think that I definitely have my vices, but I've made sure that my vices aren't ones like, I like weed, I like mushrooms, but those aren't going to ruin my life in the way that other vices could. And I know myself well enough not to try those other vices. I just wouldn't have come out the right way.
Okay, let me ask this because I have questions. Because if you don't know, y'all listening to Josh Wolf, which again, I shouldn't say we couldn't be more opposite because we aren't.
No.
But at the same time, how we approach things, because he will tell you, I've been like drug-free nerd my whole life. I was terrified of anything because I, like Josh, thought, if I do one thing, I want to end up, a stripper on a pole named Tequiza. Like I was for sure that was
Is
my route.
Tequiza your pole name?
I think so. Or maybe Zima, like some outdated liquor that no longer exists.
Tequiza is pretty amazing.
I think so. Tequiza felt like my alter ego.
Did you have a song picked out for Tequiza on the pole?
I feel like, I love that you said that. I felt always like Tequiza wanted to be a little bit more patriotic, so she'd come out to American Woman.
Wow.
Yeah, not what you'd expect from a Tequiza.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
wow.
So,
a little twist for the audience.
thank you. And I was always like, that can't be me.
Since I could not get on a stripper pole, I have not come up with a stripper name.
But Josh, true
I could
story.
run around one.
Let me tell you a true story though. Kay and I did get roped in with Leanne Morgan. Where were we in Jacksonville, Karen?
Yeah, I think so.
We were in Jacksonville, Florida. Is that Side Splitters? I can't remember what club it was, but the point was we got
Comedy Zone.
Comedy Zone. Thank you. In that weird Ramada.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive. Okay, anyway, the point was these sweet ladies came to the show, and she owned a pole dancing studio there in Jacksonville. And she's like, y'all, please come. And strike me down if I'm lying. Please come the next day. And sweet Leanne Morgan, who will talk to everybody because we're over there, Karen and I were selling merch, was like, we'd love to. And was like, oh, me, what did I rope us into? So
Yeah,
we
it was a
thought
class.
it was a class. It was a class.
Oh,
So we show up the next day. I'm in full head to toe Lululemon. Leanne's in a darling, like a skirt, like a workout short skirt. Precious. Karen's in a darling khaki because she didn't bring workout clothes. You're like, why? And a khaki short. And we get there, and this woman is probably 65, wouldn't you say at the time?
yeah.
Has a 12-pack, Josh, and she crisscrossed them legs on that pole and just like completely perpendicular, like a T, swung around it. And her abs were insane, like insane. So she's like, girls, you go. And Karen and Liam were like, what? And I think I'm on competing for American Ninja Warrior. I go up the pole like it's flat, it's school, like it's a field day.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't have to ring a bell. Like I shimmied up the top like an asshole. And then she says, if you want, you can go over there and put on the heels. And she had all these like 6-inch heels, like bowling shoes set up in a cubby.
amazing.
And Liam was like, oh my Lord, these are set up like bowling shoes. Spray.
Amazing.
Wait, and then she says, I said, I guess I'll try it. And Leanne goes, oh, I don't know. Karen's like, I don't have the thighs. Like, I just don't have the thighs. And she goes, well, use this spray adhesive. And she had this spray adhesive she wanted us to spray on our thighs so we'd stick to the pole. Karen, am I lying?
Yeah, but
no,
Karen,
no.
if you stick to the pole, that means the skin sticks to the
Yes.
pole.
Yes.
It makes that.
All that meant for me is that I was stuck to the bottom of the pole because
Yeah.
I couldn't get off the ground.
That was our experience with being a stripper.
Jacob and I did a pole dancing competition.
Things that don't shock me, y'all. All this I'd like you to know because I was
So-
worried about doing drugs and being on a pole named Takiza. We're back. Go ahead, Josh.
So Jacob and I shot a show called Family Tussle, where we competed. We picked competitions, and then the loser got to make the winner got to make the loser do something embarrassing. So we did a pole dancing competition, and we hired someone to teach us how to do the pole dancing and all that. I'm actually editing it. It should come out in June. And we had a couple of judges, and we had Nicole the pole teach us how to.
Sure. Naturally.
And by the way, she's legit. Nicole the pole legit. And
You
doing
better
some
be
things-
if that's your name. You better be legit.
That is not for the weak. That pole dance.
No, your core is got
Oh.
to be rock solid.
She taught us some moves where I was just like, by the way, I don't want to give away who won or who lost.
No, we're going to tune in for that.
But I definitely put a little more into my outfit than Jacob did.
Let me just say
that's
to you,
true.
though.
You know that's true.
Listen, I was about to say, number one, don't doubt it. Josh Wolf loves a wardrobe change.
Yeah!
Josh Wolf,
I love it.
Josh Wolf he could rival. He could rival
Sure.
Carrie Underwood at an award show with how many times Josh Wolf. Someone says you need a change, not a problem.
Yeah.
You love a wardrobe change.
Brought some options in the back.
I'm surprised you haven't done it now.
And did you have a special name for your stripper competition?
Oh yeah. Did you choose a stripper name?
I forget. Honestly, I know we both use stripper names, and I forget what I used for mine, if I'm being honest.
You're gonna love it when you edit it. That's
Yeah, I wish I had used Takiza.
See,
But it was like really, the whole thing. Okay, the competitions we did, we boxed. We did a slam dunk competition. We did a rap competition. We did a runway, so we got in.
full drag.
No, have I not showed you these pictures?
No, I'm very upset.
Oh my
See,
god!
this is what Shrooms does to Josh. He thinks he'll have full conversations with me that he's like, we had talked about that. I'm like, no, we
wait
didn't.
a second.
No, we didn't.
Wait a second.
Mentally, I appreciate that you think you've done a lot of things.
I can't believe that I haven't sent you the picture. Jacob in these pictures, legit, looks like a model from Paris.
Well, first of all, Jacob's a beauty. He has always been a beauty.
He is handsome.
He is. He's always been beautiful. Like even as a tiny baby, when you see babies and you're like, oh, that's a cute baby. Jacob's always been like a handsome, attractive baby, even when he was a little bitty child.
Really
While we're
bothers
talking
me.
about that, you need to let everybody know. For folks that don't know, if you aren't following Josh, get your life right because he's so much fun.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But what was the impetus for y'all to, because Josh tours with his youngest son, Jacob. Of
Yeah.
the three kids we were just talking about, Jacob and Josh are on the road together. What was for you, like, what was the impetus? And then what was we're going to keep doing this? That's a two-parter.
So he used to come on the road with me and sell my merch. And I knew people loved him just because I told so many stories about him. And so the merch line was so long because people wanted to meet Jacob. And it was amazing to see. And they were like, "Are you the guy who did you're the guy?" And so we were in Minneapolis at the Mall of America. Don't be jealous, anybody.
Yeah.
Well, that mall will make you hate kids.
Let me tell you. Total sidebar. I hosted a game show for Game Show Network there called Mall Madness.
Yeah.
And if you've never been to the Mall of America, y'all just buckle up. It's got an amusement park in it. And the other thing about Minneapolis is if you ever get to go to Minneapolis, there's times you don't have to go outside because there's so many human habit trails that you don't have to physically go out in the cold weather.
Yeah.
And I was in that mall for 4 days straight shooting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I almost secretly wished it didn't get picked up so that I wouldn't be stuck in that mall for months.
Did you stay at the hotel attached
Yes, I
to
did.
the mall?
The Radisson.
Yeah.
The Renaissance. I'm sorry. The
So
Renaissance,
you
yeah.
never
Never
leave.
left.
You never leave. You walk
never leave.
out of the hotel into the mall, and you don't breathe outdoor
air. I love that you had that reference. Okay, we're back. So you're at the Mall of America. You're at the.
And he was there. Excuse me, he was there, and people. We were just sitting there, shooting the shit by the bar on the people on the way in. Oh, Jacob's here. Is he going on stage? Is he going? And I was like, no. And then before the first show, I said to him, "You know what, man? Let's do a Q&A. They love you. They're going to ask questions about the jokes that I tell about you. So you have answers built in. Let's see what happens." And it was, he crushed. He crushed. And it was so different and so much fun, most importantly,
Yeah.
that I said to him, I go, let's just come out with me every weekend. And let's just do the Q&A. And then we were been having such a good time. We were in Austin one weekend. And about 5 minutes before the show, I said we were in the green room. I go, "Oh, hey, dude, I forgot to tell you, you're hosting this weekend." And he was like, he goes, "What?" I go, yeah. You're opening the show with 10 minutes. So you got 5 minutes to figure out what you're going to do.
Josh, what happened?
And he was like, no, you're kidding, right? And I go, no, I'm not kidding. And the manager came in and said to him, how do you want them to Jacob? How do you want them to introduce you? And that's when he knew, oh, shit. And so he was like, what am I going to do? And I go, well, this is exactly why I didn't tell you 2 weeks ago. Because you'd be freaking out the whole time.
Panicked and worried. That's
and I was like, the first time is going to be what the first time is regardless. But you might as well not have panicked all about it. It's going to be worse. I said, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to go outside and you're going to, there we go. You're going to just tell a story about me. And he goes, which one? I go, which one do you like to tell the most? And he said, I'd like to tell that story about you trying to get a picture with Miley Cyrus. And I'm like, great. People are going to love that story. And he went out there, and I told him, I go, they already like you. It's already a home game.
Yeah.
So
That's a great thing to put on his heart. So
huge.
It's not.
I told them, I go, they like you. It's a home game. If the story is about something they're interested in, which they are, they're here they're my fans. So if you're telling a story about me and you together, they're interested. If it's funny, it's icing. There's icing on the cake. But just an interesting story that they've never heard before, they're going to love. And there's just that story has a couple of natural punchlines. So he didn't have to write anything, which I knew. And it's such a fun story. And he came back, and you know,
Bitten?
he was, but he also he got it lulled into a false sense of this comedy shit's easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna roll out there, and
Yeah, let's go out with someone who doesn't already love you.
yeah. Well, that's what I told him. I go, you're gonna have to start hopping on stage in front of people who don't know who you are.
Yes.
It's
yes.
a different experience.
Yes.
Yeah. And I said, opening for me is different than, say, when I opened for Chelsea or a cable guy. They liked me and knew who I was, but I'm not part of the origin story.
Right.
So they aren't really invested. I said, these people are invested in you because I've been telling stories about you specifically. That's how most of them found me. So it's even different than, I was on Chelsea's show. All those people knew who I was. But they still, when the show ended, they were her fans. They weren't my fans.
Well, I think that's a good distinction to take back too. When because people know you from different iterations, right? They know you from Chelsea. People may know you from your own show. They may know you from Shark After Dark. Like you go, I know. That was so fun. So you look back and you realize where someone, got lucky enough to get involved. And so sometimes people don't know where they fell in love with somebody, and then they go back and discover other stuff, and they're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, for sure. Well, Chelsea's fans, it's so interesting. There's still some Chelsea lady people that come out to the shows. But, those comedy shows were so wild because it was a demographic of people who had never been to comedy shows.
Yeah,
It was such a different thing. People ask at venues that I'm at all the time. I hear this all the time. Well, your crowd is amazing. They're great laughers. They're not talkers. We don't have to kick anyone out. Why is that? And I said, because I don't have a popular podcast. These are all comedy fans who come from comedy clips. They're not coming from a TV show that's a panel show anymore, that they just see that guy and they like that guy. These are people who see comedy clips and come to comedy shows.
Or not TikTok influencers.
They know comedy etiquette. They know what it's like to go to a comedy show.
correct.
And I think that's a huge difference,
Let me ask you this, because Karen and I've talked about it before. I don't think we've ever talked about it on the podcast, Karen. How do you feel about the, I don't want to say generation, that's too much, but the crop of influencers, if you will. I don't know what word to use for them. They will use the word comedian, but aren't traditional comedians that are on stage now. And I always believe there's room for everybody. So in the sense of good for you, but I mean, as far as being out and taking a lap, if you will, how do you feel about that?
I'm going to have to ask you a couple questions. How do I feel about it? As far as how it affects me, what do I think they're doing?
Are there people that you enjoy that have kind of migration? What's the word I'm looking for? Evolved into that. Because there are people that talk to their chickens, and then the next thing you know, you're on tour, and I'm like, that's lovely, but you don't have your chickens and your cows on a stage
show. You don't
show.
have a filter on your mouth, or you don't have whatever it is to do a stand-up tour. You still have to have. They want to put these people on comedy tours that are not live show comedians.
Well,
Traditionally, being able to hold an hour, I think, is probably the bigger.
I think what they find out quickly is that it's different, and the clubs don't care, and the venues don't care because they're putting asses in the seats.
That's right.
Correct.
But generally, that tour only lasts one time around the country because they're
one
like
lap.
after. I remember being at the Improv long time ago, and Damon Wayans was lucky enough to talk to him a bunch of us were talking to him afterwards, and he was talking about how these 15-minute sets are so difficult for me to gauge if anything's funny. And I said, why? He said, well, because I'm famous. They're going to give me 15 minutes of not being funny and just laugh at my jokes because I'm famous. And this is back when you didn't see famous people all the time.
Sure.
So really seeing Damon Wayans at the Improv, you were laughing for 15 minutes, didn't matter what he said. That was the famous person grace period. Right?
Well said, yeah.
Okay, and so when these TikTokers get on stage, there's a grace period of people just wanting to
See 'em.
right, wanted to see him.
Sure.
But then they realize that what they do isn't really stand-up comedy. But there are some people who have done it right, man. You know, my friend Chelsea Lynn, Trailer Trash Tammy.
Oh, she's a doll.
But she works at the craft.
Yeah.
There are people like I would say like Steve-O did it right, man. Steve-O traveled the first time around the country telling stories that he knew people would be interested in. Much like the idea that I told Jacob. They're really, when people come to see Mick Foley, the wrestling guy, they don't want to hear him do stand-up. Just tell me some wrestling stories.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
Steve-O, same thing. And he was smart enough to know I'm going to be in front of way bigger crowds than my stand-up is worth. So before I start laying out these terrible jokes, I'm going to tell people the stories they want to hear. And
Smart.
then he eventually went like this with stories and stand-up, and just as he got better, right?
Smart. Yeah, for
Very
sure.
smart. Because that's when I asked you like what my perspective is, be more specific. My perspective is what do they want? Do they want to sell out a tour around the country? Good for you. You're going to do it. But do you want to be a comedian? Then you have to practice stand-up comedy.
And if you
It's
want
two different
longevity,
things.
if
Longevity.
you're just going to take a lap and do a money grab, or do you really want longevity? And either one, you know,
It's
I don't
fine.
fault.
Yeah.
Whatever you want
Yeah.
to do, but it's just two different things.
It is. The bummer is that some people who have never seen stand-up will be like, oh, this is a TikTok comedian. So I'm going to go to this TikTok comedian's, and then it's terrible. And then they see an actual comedian's TikTok, and they're like, well, I went to the show. The stand-up live isn't the same as what
That's
I'm seeing
such
on
an
TikTok.
interesting, that's
So
such
they
an interesting take.
Kind
Sure.
of ruin live stand-up for some people.
Yeah, don't run it.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah,
care if
please
you grab
don't.
money, but don't
Thank
run
you.
it.
Yeah.
Please don't. That's a really interesting take, Josh, because I've never thought about the opposite, where someone can watch somebody on a 1-minute clip and be like, yeah, I've already been to watch somebody and it was not worth the price of admission, if you will.
Well, it's one of the problems, I think, that Last Comic Standing, although it was good for comedy, but both bad, the first couple seasons had real comics.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
had material that you could, besides that fan, who had material that you could go see. Ralphie already had 3 hours of material.
Sure.
But what ended up happening is that all those comics by the 5th or 6th season were gone. And you had people who had 5 or 7 minutes that people, when people at home are like, well, if this person's on TV, if they're on AGT, they must be
That's right.
the best. And then the AGT comics are actually pretty good,
They are.
but the last comic ones by the last couple seasons were people who didn't have the extensive material that if you went, you're like, well, these are the best comics in the world. They must be they're on TV. And you go and you're like, well, okay.
Well,
Isn't that
and I
so-
remember Rosie O'Donnell, after she won Star Search, saying she was put in clubs. She had, 7-10 minutes, and she was headlining and having to follow Home Improvement. Who am I?
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. And she said he was gracious enough to say, hey, you can go in the middle, you can still keep the headlining money, but because she just couldn't do it. She
No.
couldn't follow him because she wasn't, at that time, didn't have the...
He was a comic. I think, and I don't want to put words in her mouth. And she's one of the hardest working comics, I think, of all time, and it's prolific. But I think Eliza might have ran into that problem when she won. I think, and she won Last Comic, but I don't
Yeah.
think she had like the depth of material, and she worked her.
Caught up
Nobody
to it,
works
though.
harder.
She
Yeah,
worked
nobody-
her ass off.
She's one of those impressive, prolific's the perfect word for her, because she's like, oh, I just did a new hour. Oh, and she just came back from New Zealand and I don't know, Australia, and was like, oh, and I'll be out in the clubs doing sets, 15-minute sets 6 times this week. And I'm like,
Oh, and I'm going to have a baby in the middle of it.
yeah,
I mean,
and then I'm going to birth a child and get my abs back. I'll see y'all in 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm just trying to remember what I forgot at Whole Foods. I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah.
Like, she is a bad
Amazing.
ass, and I
Amazing.
love her so much, so much.
By the way, Trish, I never lost my abs. Just want you to know.
Listen, let me just tell you something about Josh. This is what, you know how everybody Josh has never not had a 12 pack, and I will say it's annoying because I'm one of those people that have never had abs ever.
I try to drop it in almost every conversation we have.
It irritates the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But I will say, too, years ago, being on the road with you, I did have a lot of empathy after the Chelsea, well, it was during Chelsea Lately years and all that. Because at the time that Josh was on Chelsea Lately, I was on Clean House. And so in the world of Clean House and Makeover World, they didn't want anybody knowing I was a comic. Nor Matt Osmond, same thing. They didn't want either of us. They were like, we don't want anybody to know. I'm like, why? And they simply, which was really hard on both of us, actually. I mean, it was fine. It's all worked out in life. But it was hard on us because it was the years we should have been like flying up. And comedy will forever and always be my first love. No, there's no question. There's people that get into it to get into TV. And I always say my career reverse engineered. I was in TV and had to quit stand-up to now go back to stand-up. Like I've thought about that so many times in my life that I'm like, what? Like this seems so backwards. But anywho, I say this to say, I got Josh, I would say, can I go out? And he was like, yeah, of course. So we would go out, and watching these moms who had gotten sitters and were feeling good and maybe a couple of bottle of rosés in, and after the show, wanted to take pictures with Josh, and they would be up on you.
Handsy.
Like, handsy. And I'd jump in, classic me, Karen, I'd just walk in, I go, I would love to take one with y'all. And I would just scooch in like I was, let me talk to you about your car warranty. Like I just get in the middle of a photo. Because Josh, in the beginning, you handled it really well. And then after a while, I could see, and you tell me I might be saying this wrong. I know we've had conversations about it, but I, knowing you so well, could see almost like this level of anxiety of like, you're so kind to people. But it was an invasion of, if somebody did that to me, I'd lose my mind.
There was a lot of handsy. There was a lot of grabbing, and there, I tried to balance. Like I know they're probably out for the first time in a month, trying to have. They got a sitter.
Yeah, exactly right. But they got real up in your space.
They all piled out of the Chrysler Pacifica.
Sure did. That minivan life. There was 8 of them, like a clown car in that minivan, honey, going, we're going to St. Joshua.
Yeah, they came in with their small orange cones from soccer.
Totally.
Yeah, it was also a different time.
You're right.
Where and it wasn't that long ago, but still a different time.
That's well said. I just thought you handled it really well, because if it was flipped, like as a woman, if it was flipped and men did, and I don't say this like, oh my gosh, women can't do this. But the way people got up on you, I got, as your friend, used to get so like, oh gosh, because you're so lovely. You're so lovely that you didn't get off me. I'd have been like, get off me.
You know who does it now? Do you know who says it now? Jacob.
Who? Good.
Jacob says things like, that's my dad, stop touching him.
That brings me great joy. He's
like, hey, 2025, that's not okay. He says all that kind of shit.
Go Gen Z.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, he'll be like, nah, dude. Hey, he'll even lean over. He'll be like, nah, stop that. I don't want to see that.
Thank God. Yeah. See, that is the beauty of the Gen Z kiddos, because they're not having it. You can't get in there. They have a boundary. They love a boundary.
Yeah, for sure.
They love it.
Sure.
Right?
It's a boundary.
Yeah. I don't know. Nobody ever taught me those.
No, Gen X, you think we had time for boundaries? No, I was too busy babysitting people that weren't even my own family members.
Too busy wanting to be liked.
I'll tell you what's crazy is that, like, if you are a woman around our age, you looked after other people's children when you were 8, and you made food. You'd walk out, like, parents would walk out of the house and be like, hey, the chicken, make sure you cook the chicken for dinner. An 8-year-old was taking care of babies until grown humans came back at, like, midnight.
Yeah. They literally...
Bananas.
I look back now having a single mama in that era, right? And go, I had Pop-Tarts, like everything was convenience foods.
Yeah.
So that my brother and I could live on some kind of sustenance. of some kind, but everything was like either pre-made or I could shove it in a microwave or a toaster oven.
Yeah.
And it's
you
a
were
wonder.
taking care of other people's children. Grown adults trusted you, an 8-year-old, to look after their children.
Oh, I remember when I got my. Who's that? Hey, hi, Christy. Christy just peered in. I love her. She came in
saw
real
that.
sideways,
Yeah.
like, hi, doll. She's like, oh, it's a podcast. I'll say hi to Josh and Trish. Hi, girl. She's just giving the sideways. This is what we love about our show, Josh. It's anybody can
Yeah.
just walk
Anybody
in. There's
pop
usually a dog. So if Indiana
usually a
Jones
dog.
comes in, we're
Indiana
here for it.
Jones has been whining at the door. It's funny how she peeked her head in like we weren't going to see her on the camera.
Yep, that's Christy. And meanwhile, I
puppy
said,
dog.
I said dog, and dude was like, excellent. Listen, we don't have time for this right now. We're in the middle of recording.
We've said repeatedly that we should have called this off the rails, and we thought we were going to get through you without it going off the rails, but no chance.
Not a show with me on it. I would not
No.
assume that. No,
It wouldn't be as fun.
no that's a
wouldn't be as
full
fun.
off the rails.
That's why I know we didn't cover, like, we should have sat here and gone through all the things. What we usually sit and do is go over the questions of
Go
like,
ahead, hit me with some questions.
well, I'm gonna pull up some.
Okay,
and
hit me
we're
with
gonna
some
end with one of my favorites because I actually went through and thought of some
Okay.
ridiculous ones.
By the way,
for
what do
you.
you think about my Jonas Brother T-shirt?
I was gonna
I
ask
love
about
it.
that.
I was noticing that earlier.
I love a Joe Bro.
$15 at Iguana on Hollywood Boulevard.
Josh loves to tell you his deals. There is nobody that loves him. This is Karen does too. Karen
I love
does.
it, yeah.
Karen's always like some chic, like it's like a Ralph Lauren, a Theory. She'll just be like, and you'll get the Karen like for $50. It was normally $1,400.
Yours from Rack.
I love a
Nordstrom
good
Rack.
deal. I love a good deal.
Yeah.
Josh Wolf will randomly send me. Thank God your wife Bethany loves me like she does. Josh will randomly send me photo, and Jace loves you. My husband loves. Okay, Josh will send me photos of him randomly in dressing rooms.
What'd you think about
I loved that Western shirt.
So I also, Karen, have been known to shop at women's clothing stores.
He
Yeah.
loves.
I love a
clothing.
woman's jacket and some women's shirts just because the colors,
different.
I can
Yeah,
get
the colors.
some different colors.
And he also has a tiny waist, everybody. So stuff that you're like, oh, that's my goal size. Josh is like, oh, this fits good. I'm like, all the time. He'll send me something. He goes, how do I look in this? I was like, like it's my goal picture. Thank you, inspiration. Like he'll send stuff. And I'm like, good shirt.
I
Have a
have
good day.
put on like almost 20 pounds.
Get at it. Here's the thing, too, about you. We
pounds.
will. He and I
That's a
sit
lot.
at nauseum and talk about this mess, but it's who we are. And that's probably why we've been friends for so long. Okay, I'm going to ask you some weird ones and you can go with it.
All right.
What's your most unhinged Amazon purchase?
I bought a Harley Davidson refrigerator.
Walk us through that. Unpack that.
Ambien. That's about as far as I need to take the walk, I think. That's the day I stopped taking Ambien when that showed up. I'm like, what's this? And they were like,
Did you
ordered?
remember it?
No,
Did you
not-
remember you did it?
Not till I came, no.
That's amazing.
Last Ambien I took, I was like, I got to find a different way to sleep. I can't have Harley Davidson refrigerators
Showing up at all hours.
No.
My Ambien last purchase was a Sobakawa pillow. Do you remember those?
Wow.
I was on the road. Don't remember thinking, I need a pillow stuffed with puffed rice. Got back from the road and was like, why are there 4 of these at the house full of buckwheat? I was like, did somebody prank me? And then I was like, no, I remember it.
I traced this purchase back
Ambien's
to...
never made me shop.
No?
No, not Ambien. It
Yeah.
knocks me out.
Oh, God, I'm so jealous. You're the 1%, Kay.
Yeah.
But
You're
I don't,
it.
I don't use Ambien anymore, but
Me neither.
Me neither.
thank God. 'Cause my
All of
doctor
it.
said, you go completely unconscious with that. Let me give you something else to help you sleep.
Well, I wish somebody would have told me that on the front end because I, like Josh, I also would order weird room service and don't remember. And true story, I was on the road this was years and years ago with the TV show, and I woke up in the morning and there was a room service tray in my room, and I had gone to bed, locked the door, like I ate out earlier in the afternoon. I did not need a meal, and I looked at the receipt. It was a macaroni and cheese. I'm allergic to dairy. It was a piece of chocolate cake and a a half bottle, like a split of wine, completely gone. So not only did I eat all that, I let someone in my room and I was not awake. Think about that. Like, I don't remember that. And I was like, nah, Ambien. That and them Sobacalipellos were the same night.
The last time I took Ambien on the road, I woke up and there were, I posted this on my Instagram, there were chicken wing bones under my pillow. Like the buffalo wing, I had just put them under my pillow. Yeah. Oh, those were bones you found in a cave. Like, those were not like, there was no meat on those bones.
Kathleen Madigan does a hilarious bit on people who want their dreams to come true. So clearly, I've never taken 2 Ambien and a box of wine. They would not want it.
What else you got for me?
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. I know you are. That's why I love this. What's the hill you'll die on no matter how dumb it is? Like, is there something for you that you're like, I'm not letting that go? I will die on that hill over this.
Oh, there's so many. I mean, I'm trying to decide which human. Like, I have a lot of I'll die on these hills with different
People, situations.
Yes. I think maybe, okay, this is silly. But, like, I'm going to die on the hill of, I think mushrooms are good for me. So, Beth is not 100% behind this idea.
Thank God. Reasons again why I love Bethany.
But I am convinced that they're good for me, and that I take them every Friday night regardless. And she's like, okay. But I don't think every Friday is a good move for you. I'm going to die on the hill. Maybe literally, but...
I was about to say.
But
since I grew up in the funeral business, am I the person at the eulogy going, well, as it turned out, he did die on this hill.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he had a fun time climbing.
But
it.
I was about to say, but he loved every second of it.
Yeah.
That's not bad. I'm not mad at you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, here are the other ones. All right. Yeah, no, who would play you in a Lifetime movie version of your life?
Well, Lifetime or like big screen?
We're going to do both. I had
Okay.
both questions. Give me Lifetime, so like the poor man's Josh Wolf, and then give me A-lister Josh Wolf.
Lifetime, probably Josh Lucas.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I go Josh Lucas.
not
McConaughey, big screen.
Oh, McConaughey's doing your full life story.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to.
Well, you said, I mean, big screen's got to be...
Extra. No, you're right. You've got to fill a box off. Yeah, it's box office dollars.
It's got to be elevated Josh Wolf.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's
He can elevate anybody, that's for sure.
Yeah, might as well. What do you think I'm going to say? Paul Rudd? Fuck off.
I can't.
Get out of here. Beat it with that. No, McConaughey, you know?
You know what it is? McConaughey or go home. I mean,
Or
Karen,
kick,
who would play
Down
you?
that hill.
McConaughey or Kick Rocks?
That's a T-shirt. McConaughey
Yeah.
or Kick Rocks. When he runs for president, finally, that should be his
For
shirt.
sure. Yeah.
McConaughey or Kick Rocks. Karen, who would play you in a feature film, box office? You don't have to think on it. If it comes to you in days, tell us. But have you ever thought about that? Like, who's playing you?
I
Leanne
have
Morgan.
not thought about that. Who?
Leanne Morgan. Oh, Lord. God. I'm crying.
Hilarious.
She could consult.
Yeah.
For sure. She knows all there is to know.
Yeah.
As does Trish. So they could.
We'd be
Yeah.
consulting producers. We know where the
I don't
bodies are
know.
buried.
Meg Ryan.
I love that.
Okay, that would be so good. Okay, I'm
sure
petitioning for that.
Okay. What about you, Trish?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I have to think on that.
Okay.
You might come up with somebody faster than me, but I don't know who could pull me off appropriately. I know. I don't know.
Who were
And of course, I think
this?
Jodie Foster could play anybody. So
Everybody, Jodie Foster,
Yeah,
Meryl
yeah,
Streep.
so-
Meryl
yeah,
Streep could play me. Could you
Meryl
imagine?
Streep's a little older than you.
Yeah, I know. I would. You know what? I'd probably say Reese.
Good
there
one.
you go.
Southern.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Reese could probably play me, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sitting here trying to think off the top of my head, and that's the first person I could remotely.
I love that. I love that.
Okay, good. Well, here we go. What piece of advice you've given, but absolutely don't follow it yourself? Like, what piece of advice do you give, but you definitely don't follow?
Don't do mushrooms.
Okay. But it's one that I've started to follow.
Okay.
But I wish I had done it earlier. How about that?
Okay. That's fair.
But that authenticity is the secret to everything that you want in your life.
Oh, let's unpack that because you have had
Do
to.
that.
It really is. So the closer you get to 100% authentic, the closer you get to really being truly happy with whatever it is you decide to do.
That's so.
Great.
Yeah. You and I have had that conversation. This is, and Karen's very close to me as well, but Josh, because just by extra life served, there are so many times when I've called Josh and it's been, you do something in life and it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or 2 steps back and 1 step forward, and you're just constantly going, I can't see my way through this. And you have always been the person, good or bad, whether I wanted to hear it or not, gulp, that has said to me, listen, how authentic are you being? And I'm thinking about how many times in 2 decades you have said to me, how authentic are you being right now? And I'm like, I don't want to talk to you about this. Like one time I was actually talking to him and I can remember the moment because I was hiking and you said, because Josh is usually like, okay, let's go. There's nobody in my life I can hang up with on a phone call faster than Josh Wolf and takes no offense. He and I both like, bye. And
Yeah.
we hang up. There's
But
no like,
My dad,
Yeah, talk
my
to you
dad
later.
was not I don't think my dad's ever said goodbye in his life. He just hangs up the phone. Oh, you're done talking because you'll be like, oh, is there nobody on the other end anymore?
well, you have
I know
picked
a
up
couple
that
like
gift from your daddy
Yeah.
because Josh will just be like,
Yeah. Yeah,
and you're
I,
like, was
I
that
do the
a-
same thing
and
with
he's-
texts. No long text. Got it. Got you. Hey.
thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I'm
yeah.
a kind of a bottom line me too. I mean,
Yeah.
just
But you've definitely been that person where you'll say, hey, stop walking or listen to me. Like he'll give I've got this much time and this much information and this is what I'm saying. So I will always say you've always said that about authenticity. And it's annoying when someone knows you so well that they know what to say to make you like blind spots. And I would say that you've always been really good about telling somebody their blind spots. And then to double dip that for you. And I think you started following that later on too. Like to
Yes.
double dip authenticity.
You know what I've been doing, what I did for a long time, which is what kids do, actually, in general, with their parents. Whenever a parent's like, my kid tells me everything. Your kid tells you enough of the truth that they know they can tell you that makes you think that they're telling you the truth.
100%.
Does that make sense what I just said?
Yeah, I got
Yep.
3 stepkids. They give just
Totally.
enough information to
That's
let me know
it.
that I'm in, but I don't know
But
everything for
they'll
sure.
tell you something that makes you think, well, if they're telling me that, then I know everything. But you don't.
No.
But I have done the same thing professionally, where I've let people in like 85%. And I don't think there's anybody that does. Look, there's no true 100% share. There's something everybody hides, keeps something back. But authenticity as an artist is what draws people to you. Maybe not before, maybe not 40, 50 years ago, but right now, authenticity is what draws people to you. And because there are so many authentic people, people can sniff it out. And so we all know very funny people who don't get views, and they don't have people coming to their shows. Now, people who leave the shows are like, they're funny. Tell me a joke they told you in there. I can't remember one of them. Because nothing stuck with them, nothing was authentic, nothing connected with them emotionally, so it was just a funny show. there's so many of those. You also have to be that person that somebody goes, I relate to them. I know them. I see myself in them. That authenticity is very human.
Yeah,
You
just jokes doesn't do it.
It doesn't really
This day
do it
and age.
anymore. It doesn't really do it anymore.
Not anymore.
So the more I watched people, and I watched my peers, some who I thought like, that's not a good person, but they're being honest about not being a good person, and somehow that has won them over a ton of people, because people are like, yeah, they're not a good person, but at least they're upfront about who they are, and there's something very attractive about that.
No, that's very well said. It's standing in it, good or bad. That's your truth,
Yeah, for sure.
as the kids say.
As the kids say.
One more,
Yeah.
and this is what we leave everybody with.
Oh, I can't wait.
What do you know so far?
Not much.
You kind of just answered it.
Yeah, not
You
much.
did.
I mean, here's what I know. I know that the three things that whenever something comes to me now in my life, this is the three things that I kind of run it past. The authenticity, will I be able to be authentic in it? And will I be able to speak my honest truth about it? And does it fit into the intent of how I want to live my life?
Ooh, that's so good.
Those are my three things. And if it passes through those filters, I'll do it. And if I hit a bump on any of those filters, I'm like, that's not for me anymore.
Ooh, Josh.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I'm old. When you get old, you figure some stuff
You're
out.
not old. Knock it off.
Old
Not-
enough to know that, at least.
Yeah, I'm not old on Friday
not old.
nights when I take my mushrooms.
I was just about to say, okay, when you put that cape on and those crazy leopard pants, and he's like, what do you think? I'm like, you're doing great, sweetie.
Did you see the outfit that I went out in the other night with the fringe jacket?
Did
and the
I see
cheetah
it?
pants?
I texted you right away and said, save those pants for me. Are they my size?
They are your size, by
I
the way.
was just about to say, usually they are my size.
Oh, those cheetah pants were something special.
He went out in full regalia, y'all. And this is what's so great about you. It's not that you don't, it's your own personal swagger. That's how long we've been friends that I can say this. Because if anybody else had that on, you're like, are they unwell?
I went out in character, Trish. We went to a charity event, and so it was for kids with cancer. And I went out dressed as a guy named Jimmy Viper, who was a pool shark, Jimmy Viper. And I did full character the whole night. I never broke. And I was like, here are the three things that, because I don't know Jimmy Viper's character that well, here are the three things that I know about Jimmy for the whole night. One, he doesn't know anyone's name. So I would always mess up somebody's name. Like Craig Gass was there. I was calling him Greg and Kevin all night.
I bet he loved that.
Dude, he was like, you're never going to break. I'm like, break what, Greg? Jimmy Viper couldn't lose. So no matter
Even
what.
if he lost?
Yeah,
Even if he lost?
Nah, Jimmy Viper's a winner. And third person. So I just did those three things. And if I just
You
kept
said
those.
Jimmy Viper is happy to be here. Jimmy Viper needs a drink.
Jimmy Viper never loses. Yeah. So, but these are the kind of things I'm doing as I get older that I wouldn't have done when I was younger, because I would have been too nervous about what other people thought, and I just don't care. I really just want to have a good time, and I don't know how many more years I'm gonna be doing this. That's why I'm playing. That's why I'm doing so much music now on stage. I was always so scared to do music because I was like, oh, what are other comics gonna think? And I finally got to the age where I was like, I don't really care what they think. And the music is so good, and it's so funny. I don't do it the same way other people do it. I'm not Weird Al. I'm not Sandler. Those guys write songs. I'm writing jokes that just happen to be in songs. And I find that I can say way more risque things in songs without people blinking an eye. If you're animated or you sing it, you can say whatever you
Yeah, you
want.
put a tune to it, you can say.
So I just shot this special called the Campfire Special because it felt like you were just sitting around a campfire listening to your friend tell stories and sing songs. And it was so good. The songs are so good.
And you shot that in Nashville.
Shot it in Nashville. And we I have a Spinal Tap country band. Trish, I've sent you one of those songs.
It's so good. And I don't say that because Josh knows I'd be like,
Yeah.
you're doing great. I wouldn't. It's so good. And I think also it's just refreshing.
It's
Like, it's different. It's not what you're expecting.
no, because it's not punchline. It's ironic.
No.
Right? The song that Trish is talking about, I wrote a song called Southern Like Jesus.
And y'all, it could be on the airwaves. That's what's wild. It's like you're listening to these songs and you're like,
That's what it's supposed to be.
It's fresh and familiar. And then you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
There's always one line in the song where you're like, oh, this is a joke. Oh, this is a joke. But it's me and the guys from Little Big Town. That's the band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so we
they're
sang-
so well done. It's the other part of this.
Something Like Jesus. We sang Let Me See Your Country. We have a song called I Ain't Your Daddy, But I Could Be. We have a song, Cougaritaville. And we have one song called Why's Your Titty on Your Back? Which... It's so funny. Why's your titty on your back? It's so funny.
And he sings these all. That's what makes me laugh so hard is Josh will get so tickled, but when you sing, he sings stuff like a true, like you commit is the point of my story. You commit 110%. You're not like tickled. Like Sandler always giggles while he sings. You don't. You sing it like you are at an arena at Bridgestone, giving the concert of your life. And that's what to me is so funny.
Yeah. No. I'm not messing around for sure.
So then I'm gonna, because I know we've been on forever, but I could talk to you for days as we normally do, and then you hang up on me. What would you do if you weren't doing comedy? Like, what would be the thing that would fulfill you right now in life?
I always loved coaching baseball teams and Jacob's baseball teams, coaching, teaching, something like that. I loved watching when you would teach. I loved teaching something and then watching somebody get it. It's such a cool process. It happens now with Jacob on the road, where I'm like, just try this, and I'll explain to him, this is why, and this is why. And just try it both ways. Try it your way, try it my way. And just see that this is the reason. And to see people get it, when I would coach his baseball teams, my goal every year wasn't to win. My goal was to make sure that everybody on the team wanted to come back and play again next year. That was it. I wrote in my book, one of my chapters in my book was titled "Your Son's Not Derek Jeter," because they're not. I would tell everybody at the beginning of the season, I played college baseball. I didn't come close to playing professional baseball, but I want to tell you, everybody on this team is worse than I was. So lower your expectations. Yeah, I would tell them straight up. And I would say, if you're the guy who's yelling from the stands, you're on the wrong team. God bless you. I'm so happy that you want your kid to be great. I think that's awesome. But can't have you screaming and making people nervous from the stands. It's just not how it's going to happen. And so, P.S., we won every year. Humble brag. But because I loved watching them have fun, and so that area of teaching kids when they still had that unfiltered, unjaded laugh and that pure joy of just playing.
The game, yeah.
I love that age.
I love everything about that. Karen and I would rescue animals, that's for damn sure. Karen and I'd have a ranch rescuing every animal we could. We'd be those crazy people.
I want a cow. I want a mini cow, Trish.
I want a mini cow. I want a mini donkey, Josh. Why do I want a mini donkey?
Me too.
And
those mini cows.
Why don't we just get a little farm
I know.
next to each other, and then we'll just that way.
What am I going to do with? I got land in Joshua Tree. Probably can't have a farm out there.
Can we? Yeah, felt like they'd be dehydrated all the time. You and I'd have those cows on electrolytes.
Yeah. Are you having your creatine? Yeah.
Josh would be out there hollering at me. Did you give him collagen? We can't have old-looking donkeys.
Get him his protein shake. He's looking a little flabby.
I adore you, Josh Wolf. Thank you for taking
having
the time.
me. I appreciate
Thank
y'all
you,
so
Josh.
You're just so fun.
You are fun.
Thank you, and I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you so much. I'm going to go spend a
And
little
some
time
really
drinking
great
water.
wisdom there, Josh.
Nobody's ever said that sentence in their life.
I'm old and I recognize it, so that was some excellent words of wisdom.
Well, thank
Well,
you.
I think that's what's so great about you, and I say that all the time. If you are quiet long enough, which is a hard skill for me, Josh is the king. Josh is the king of saying things that you didn't know were coming. Like it's the Easter eggs of you. It's always who you've always been. That you're like, he's wacky as hell in his leopard breeches, and then all of a sudden he's like Nietzsche's in the middle of something, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
some little nugget of
literally, and I'm like, what just happened? And he's like, these are not the droids you're looking for. He'll do that stuff to you, and I'm like, huh?
Well, you got to sift through a lot of dirt to get to the gold. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you're our favorite bucket of gold, dude. You just are. You're the business. Tell everybody where they can find you, and I mean, this will all be in the show notes, all your social.
ComedianJoshWolf.com for tour dates. The shows are so good. It's Jacob, then me and Jacob, and then music. It's like 4 different shows all in
fun.
one. And they're so much fun. Truly, you know, if you come to 5 shows over the weekend, they're all different. I don't do the same set. I don't do the same anything. So, excuse me. Some shows I get up on stage and I'm like, this feels like a crowd that wants to hear an hour of stand-up and 10 minutes of music, and that's what I'll do. And sometimes I'm like, this feels like a crowd that wants to hear 30 minutes of music. And so it just depends on what happens. But the shows are always a ton of fun. And then socials, I think I'm Josh Wolf Comedy, and that's it. Come have
Well,
some
we
fun.
adore you, Josh Wolf. Thank you, my darling. You're
Thank
the
you
best.
for having me.
thank you.
Bye.
Welcome to life, boy. I'm glad you're here.